Hi everybody, it's Zach and I like movies, and with Twisters coming out this week, I thought what better way to celebrate than to review the original big dumb weather disaster movie from 1996, Twister. This comes us from director Jan de Bont, who was a long-time, very famous, one of the great Dutch cinematographers, who mastered the way of filming and photographing American carnage by being the DP for Die Hard before he eventually transitioned into directing his own movies with 1993's Speed, the classic action thrill ride, right? And Twister came right after Speed, and I feel like he really did great to cut his teeth on that, and because what we have with Twister is a really great example of pure studio blockbuster bliss. It's big, it's dumb, and it's kind of fully embraces the movie that it is. So if you haven't seen it in a while, it is about Bill Paxton, who plays a former storm chaser turned TV weatherman who just wants his ex-wife, played by Helen Hunt, to just sign the divorce papers already so he can marry his new therapist wife, played by Jami Gertz. And but when you know it, it's Twister season, and before you know it, they're chasing the big winds, and they're falling back in love with each other as they dare to enter the suck zone. And man, if you have not seen this movie in a while, like I did, I forgot that this movie is absolutely drowning in 90s camp. Like this movie could only have ever possibly been made in 1996, because you get scenes like they'll have a scene at a dinner table, and Jami Gertz will ask, has anyone seen an F5, and everyone goes quiet, like you just invoked Satan or something. and then later, these big dramatic and you'll have Bill Paxton, he'll stare out around and look at the clouds and feel the wind with awe, and in that Spielbergian look of wonder. And later someone would be like, it's coming, and he would just, there'd be this push into Paxton's face, be like, it's already here, and all of that stuff. And I think what's so fun about Twister is that it does embrace and really leans into the campiness of it. It knows it's a big, dumb studio disaster movie, and I think it really just has fun with it. Mostly what makes it so fun and charming is that it is just packed with a murderer's row of character actors just populating the whole thing. And I want to start with Paxton, who, R.I.P. to a legend. My God, he's one of those. Bill Paxton was always one of those actors that never really always felt like he was just the guy you wanted to see. Every time you saw him, he really you knew he really was just a guy you could trust. You know, he really was one of the great American that guy actors. But and here he's kind of doing, since he's kind of playing the lead, he's really leaning, giving you more of the typical square-jawed hero stuff, in something that he would play in say a movie what was it called? A Simple Plan, and a really great underrated movie if you haven't seen it. But here I can't for the life of me really determine if he's fully invested in this, because I wouldn't say this is Paycheck Bill Paxton. Paycheck Bill Paxton is actually in you can see in the Twister Experience ride from Universal Studios. That was Paycheck Bill Paxton. You could tell that he was clearly reading from the cue cards. And here it's not quite there, and it's a little odd to say, because when Bill Paxton's on, when he's committed, you feel it. When he says game over, man, game over, you truly believe that the game is over. But here, it's he's saying the things, but he doesn't believe the things that he's saying, he's paired off. He's got really great chemistry with Helen Hunt, who plays his ex-wife, and she's feisty. She has a lot of fun with these like screwball comedy style back and forth arguments that she has with Paxton. But they definitely took a page out of His Girl Friday with their dynamic. But I gotta say, her whole character deal and their dynamic and their whole relationship, I felt was really the weakest element of the movie, which really hinders it, because it's like the emotional crux of the drama, and I'm mostly annoyed by it because the writing is on the wall with them from the word go. Like, okay, like so you're just kind of, I spent a lot of the time just kind of waiting for them to like, okay, they're gonna like be snippy with each other, they're gonna argue, but it's so obvious that they're gonna get back together, and maybe they'll divorce again in a week after a big fight, because that's just the kind of people they seem to be. That does lead to some like pure grade soap opera melodrama of where Paxton would like admit that he still loves her in the midst of this pouring rain, and somehow Jami Gertz can hear it over the walkie-talkie, and she's like so clearly hurt by it, and it again really leans into the 90s camp. By the way, really feel bad for Jami Gertz in this, because like she's dragged out here to the middle of like I want to say it was like, what is this, Arkansas, Oklahoma, something like Wyoming maybe. I don't think they. I want to say I think they said it. I might have forgotten. And she's like dragged out by her husband to now, and she's like just dragged from tornado to tornado, like just helplessly, and like just being driven insane by this gang of lunatics that she's put up with, and then she's kind of treated like an unnecessarily treated like a villain. Like, imagine a movie from her perspective. It would be like that would be the disaster. Holy shit. But to go on with the cast, like, my God, like the crew that makes up Bill Paxton's cast. I know Bill Paxton's character's name, but I'm just calling him Bill Paxton because he's just that guy. You know, I just see Bill, and I love Bill. But you have the likes of like Todd Field in here, where like who would like go on to be in a Kubrick movie, and then later on would direct Tar. You also have Alan Ruck, Cameron from Ferris Bueller, Connor from Succession. Lois Smith is also here too, she plays Aunt Meg, who is an absolute peach. I always loved Lois Smith whenever she shows up in things. And then you also have the king himself, another late great absolute legend, Philip Seymour Hoffman as Dusty. I miss Phil. I miss Philip all the time. I keep thinking like he could have had like another 30 years of amazing performances. And I feel like he kind of is a real standout here in this because he's just doing the most with kind of little. Like Dusty on paper is kind of just this like big annoying comic relief character where he's just like extreme, and he's like, Phil is just so big in a really fun way, and this was like pre Boogie Nights, and I think also it was like pre anything he did with like Paul Thomas Anderson. And this was like, I think it was like just before he became like a big name, before he became like one of the greatest character actors ever. And between Dusty and like just the rest of the gang, the Storm Chick, the Twister gang, all these characters, they're clearly types. You are like the safe one. You're like the analytical scientist. You're the one. Dusty. You're the wild card. You're the weird one. And they're all so clearly like just very thin. But it's the kind of movie where the cast who was playing these characters really give them animation. They really give them a sense of personality and life, and maybe not so much interiority, but they really pop off the screen, which I can also say for Cary Elwes, who plays Jonas. He's like this rival storm chaser team lead who stole the design from Paxton and Hunt on this weather machine. Like they call Dorothy. They're gonna like launch all these little ball sensors into the tornado because scientists have been studying tornadoes for forever, but they don't know how they work. And when they finally do get Dorothy into the sensors in it, it's like, what do we find out? Yeah, it's a big funnel of wind. But Cary always isn't in this as often as much as I would probably think or want. But whenever he does, he is a very fun. He's very he's very like snippy and like very condescending, and he has this southern twang accent to him. It's like, oh, I see. You're here to take credit for my design. And that's not all right. You know, it's like halfway. It's like getting to Matthew McConaughey. but also speaking of Jonas, like, my God, the animosity this movie has for people, you know, selling out is hilarious. Like there's Paxton has this rivalry with Jonas because they're just like a scrappy team who just like gets by on their wits and their enthusiasm because they have such passion for weather and tornadoes and science. And Jonas, he has corporate sponsors, and Paxton will say, hey, he's not in it for the science, you know, with the same kind of venom that you would have for like a Bay Area punk band who's signed to a major label. It's very funny. And honestly, it is stupid in that way. But it's honestly hard to push back against the stupidity of this movie, and because of how earnestly fun it is, and it is fun, and if this movie loses you when it has like a cow flying by in the wind and looking at the camera, it's not gonna win you back. But it's not, and I think it's just not interested in like giving that much like depth of character. It's not interested in anything. It's just focused on fine-tuning that post-Jurassic Park Amblin summer blockbuster feel. And it does this through maintaining this great sense of pace and really lively energy to it. Like when they're in their cars and they're speeding towards we got an F2, we got an F3, and they're just like chasing down the tornado. It really has this great movement to it. Like, I think if there was any lesson Jan Bont took from directing Speed, it's that it's always best to be moving. You know, it's always on the move to the next big set piece, and it does a marvelous job of framing those set pieces. These big disaster movie set pieces really hold up pretty well. I can't really say the same thing for some of these effects. Like, some of the tornadoes, they look really good and big and monstrous, but some of the whenever there's an explosion in this movie, it's a little oof. Like, I could see the cutoff line from where you're supposed to click and put the effect on it. It's a little cheap, but the way that they frame these movies and they make they capture the size of these tornadoes they're so well illustrated in these, and they often like, again, lean into that like big dumb blockbuster tone of it by like framing these tornadoes like they're movie monsters, which they double down on by having a big raging twister tear up this drive-in movie theater that's playing The Shining, and it'll like tear up the movie screen, and you'll have Jack Torrance's like creepy visage just projected onto this tornado. It's really funny that way. Like, man. But to think that The Matrix was only 3 years away from this, it's like, it does hold, and to its credit, this movie does have a lot of great practical effects to it. Like, all the stuff with like the crashing cars and all the big wind effects and the rain, And like when the wind and rain is like tearing up the places, it feels really big and it feels really effective because a lot of this stuff is practical. Like a truck gets thrown through a roof, and I just thought like, wow, they really threw a real truck into a real roof. And even later, there's a tense scene where the gang is trying to rescue a friend from a collapsed building, and it's like, and it feels, and there's suspense to it because they're actually in a building that is falling apart, and they barely make it out. They get the dog too, and it's great. Like the building actually falls apart, and I felt it, and it looked real because it was real. And it just I was just amazed, like, wow, they would have just green screened that motherfucker. Yeah, that's kind of the joy of Twister. It's maybe not a great movie, maybe not even a particularly good movie, but there is a lot to love, and it's clearly here for fun and really nothing else. Yeah, it still really holds up. It's really fun to watch. It's got a great energy. The cast is gangbusters. I kind of can't. It's probably one of the one of the purest examples of like that. Again, that like post Jurassic Park, Amblin produced summer blockbuster. It's a big dumb disaster movie, and if you're in a mood for a big dumb disaster movie, I think Twister is probably one of the best ones you can get. I think if you're into movies like, I don't know, the Poseidon Adventure or Deep Impact, something like that. It's just here to be big and loud and dumb and have a great fun, and it's a great ride. And yeah, that's Twister. Holds up pretty well. And I probably would give this like a strong 6, light 7. If I had to give a number to it. And yeah, holds up. Yeah, not a lot of fun to be had with Twister. And yeah, that's a review. Comment, like, subscribe. Did you like Twister? Really excited to see Twisters, plural, probably more than one Twister. And yeah, that's the review. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you saw Twister too. And I hope to look forward to Twisters because as you can see, I like movies, and I hope you like movies too, and I hope you'll be watching movies because I'll be watching movies, and I will see you later.